Recently, there's been a lot of new footage relating to the new Rift update and also the new Slayer. Now, a lot of the content we can already technically access, but I think what we can now see gives quite a lot of insight on things that we were unsure about. So the new Slayer is of course known as the Rift Stalker Slayer, or otherwise just known as Vampire Slayer. Now, Vampire Slayer is positioned between Enderman and Blaze, so whether that speaks somewhat to the difficulty of this Slayer, or whether that's just a coincidence. You see, I would think with it being the newest Slayer, if it really was the hardest Slayer, then it would be at the end. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this. However, 2 days ago, TimeDeal released a video basically where he just completed a tier 5 Vampire Slayer. So just off the bat, it looks like he's killing this Slayer in somewhere that looks very, very similar to the castle in the overworld in the hub, where you can kill the wolves. And of course, once again, it looks like the Slayer has some sort of hits phase, some sort of immune phase, something that nowadays we've come to expect. Now, of course, there's a new sword that he's actually using as well, which potentially could be Slayer specific. Now, what's interesting about this is a tier 5 boss, okay? The only other Slayer with a tier 5 boss is Zombie Slayer. It doesn't really make much sense to me how they would have Zombie Slayer 5, but then Spider and Sven go to 4. Enderman goes to 4, Blaze goes to 4, but a new Slayer they introduced goes to 5. It just doesn't... I don't know why they do that. However, from the way he's killing this boss, there's no cheese spot, and obviously I doubt an admin would use a cheese spot. Maybe they would, but maybe not to showcase a Slayer. But this looks pretty cool. To me, it looks like a mix between Zombie Slayer, Enderman Slayer, and it keeps shooting these tentacles that kind of reminds me of Kudra. Nevertheless, the fact that the Rift update actually has a dedicated Slayer means that people can't ignore it. Now, before we go any further, you should subscribe to the channel, become part of the 23%, there's no reason not to. Also, you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of every single video. People can't be slacking with bad Vampire Slayer. Something else I do want to mention is the fact that we're actually getting footage like this on YouTube. This never usually happens. And not only that, there's even more. I know in the past when there's been updates, it's maybe we've had screenshots leaked on Twitter, or we've had short clips leaked here and there, but not anything like this. Like the full tier 5 boss is right there from one of the admins, which is actually really, really cool to see. And I guess that's the great thing about having somebody who was just a content creator on the game, somebody who plays the game all the time, or used to at least, actually being someone who develops the game. Because at the end of the day, the TimeDeal probably represents majority of Skyblock players in terms of what they want to see. I think it's just a really cool idea. Now, as I was saying that it's really cool to see admins actually posting updates on an update before it's even released in full is obviously very cool. Now, like I said before, there is more as well, which we'll take a look at. As you can see, there's also another video pertaining to the Rift update uploaded by Minicloon, who is another admin. Now, in this video, he showcases the top 5 most complicated things in the Rift update. And first of all, at first I thought this was actually the Lapis Mines until I looked a little bit more carefully. Looks like some sort of cave with a mob called an Autonal. Has 155 health, looks like it has chain armor, no head, and a diamond sword. Very interesting looking character. Now, I would say maybe this is the best place to spawn your Slayers. Having said that, this isn't where TimeDeal actually did the boss, so I'm not sure about that. I think what he's actually showcasing here is like the blue like glass blocks that keep basically flying around the room, which is supposed to be snakes. It looks pretty cool. But yeah. Now next up he's showcasing the mechanic of like the spider that is sort of like hanging from the web, but it's actually physically moving, and it's also reactive to what you do around it. Honestly, I haven't seen anything really similar to this on Skyblock in the way that this is actually implemented, like something of that nature. And I think that goes for a lot of the things in the Rift update. I feel like it's getting a little bit more complicated, and hats off. You know, it's not a massive thing like a little spider head dangling on a spider's web and being reactive, but it's a nice touch. And it's things like that make the game unique. Now, if you've been in the Rift or at all on the Alpha server, you will have noticed these purple particles floating about. Once again, they look pretty cool, and I think he's explaining how hard they were to code. And then there's this, which is really cool. If I'm being honest, I've never seen a working mirror in Skyblock, okay? Never seen a working mirror in Minecraft full stop. Maybe I've just been hiding under a rock, and maybe it's not that difficult. I have watched the video and he says it's not that difficult, but that's from someone who knows what they're doing. Regardless of the use of this room, it's just really cool. It's a mirror in Minecraft. There we go. Now I've got to say, from these two videos and from my time spent on the alpha, which admittedly probably hasn't been used to its full potential, I've got to say that initially I wasn't a massive fan of the update, but now I can kind of see it. It's so complex, it's completely different to anything we've ever seen. The actual idea is pretty cool. I mean, it's an alternate dimension, which essentially is in the future, that runs separately to your regular profile, which is pretty cool. I just hope when it comes out fully that the Slayer and the Rift itself is all it's made out to be, and everything that we see on the alpha and in the videos. I'm sure it will be, just we've been waiting so long. I wouldn't want it to disappoint, and I really want this to do well, because it does look very good. At this point, we've been waiting for over 2 years for this update. What's the point in rushing it now? Now, I really do hope when it gets closer to the time of the foraging update, that we also see videos like this from Time Dio and Minikloon as well, because it just gives some really nice insight, especially when it's something so major as a new Slayer. Now, I know that initially when the Rift first went onto Alpha, people realised that you needed Grand Experience bottles in order to actually get into the Alpha server. And from that, I know a lot of people invested in Grand Experience bottles. However, they've gone down. Of course, you don't just need Grand Experience bottles, there's other ways of being able to actually gain access. Meaning for those people who invested in Grand Experience bottles, I'm not sure if they're going to turn out to be a great investment. Now, in terms of the Rift update, for the people that aren't really too fond of it and don't really like the idea of it, you've got to look at it like this. Number one, it's free talismans, it's free magical power. Number two, it's a new Slayer, which means free loot, free Skyblock XP, and so on. I'll be honest, I don't know entirely what my plan will be when the Rift update comes out, but with the other games as well, I kind of prefer not to see a massive amount of content on an update before it comes out, otherwise it kind of ruins it. I know there's some people that are actually pretty far into the Rift already on the alpha, and that's fair enough if you want to do it that way, but I feel like it might kind of kill it when it comes out. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what you guys think in terms of the two new videos that we've got to see about. Number one, the Vampire Slayer from Time Dio, and then I guess just some other features from the Rift update in general from Minikloon. Once again, it's really cool to get some insight. You know, we never usually get this much. And yeah, well, let's just hope number one, they don't rush the update, but number two, it doesn't take them too long to release it, because to be honest, I'm quite excited for it. Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.